top priority. Peace before everything, God before anything, love before anything, real before everything, home before any place, truth before anything.
First, I am, and so that means that by having life, I have expression.
I'm an artist. I'm a vehicle for, creativity. So I always look at that as being what's most important, per se, because I think that you only have one chance to create it.
But most of us look for a means of escape from a 3D kind of reality, something to break the monotony of a routine, just to be able to play with your imagination and pretty much create your own reality.
Do it because I feel it. So I think to answer that question about how I do it, I just do it because I feel it and something I need to do.
I create because it keeps me balanced and it keeps me sane.
Right.
If I'm not doing anything creative, then there's no purpose for me.
Some of the shit that's gonna come out ain't gonna be good, but you still got to face it. That's the thing, and that's also what art does for me. Is it puts things into perspective.
Through the research, you're learning about. Well, I'm learning about myself as to what I do. Cause I thought it was all just subconscious. I just do it.
I've been reflecting on how helpful it's actually been for me, even, personally, just to be able to see what my process is.
How do you create? How do we create? Is it conscious? Is it really conscious?
It just is,
Right.
And that's the best way. That's where that creativity being, divine, the divinity just is,
Going within is important because a lot of the answers of the universe we have within, if we can tap into that.
So there's no way of controlling it. I don't think people should. You should just let it go because it's a release at the end of the day.
And when I think of art, I think that's the great, conduit to kind of express your views politically, creatively, artistically. I think that's what I use art for, at least as a conduit to get into that. It's kind of like a window inside the personality of someone.
For the most part, it's flowing out of you. And as it collects, it resembles what you wanted in a certain way. Is it perfectly exact? There's no way it's perfectly exact. I don't care who you are as an artist. Even if you're using a tool like a camera, no matter what it is, it's never that exact. Because that's the variation of your reality versus the fantasy that's in your mind. The channeling part is how you get it out.
The idea of how we as urban artists kind of tell stories about our experience,
You can tell a story from any perspective, meaning you can put yourself in your mind, you can put yourself in any situation and create it to make it manifest into whatever art form that it is.
I feel like I've started absorbing these stories and situations, and then I started being channeled information, and I believe it's interplanetary.
People going through the stuff, we have to be the ones telling the story. You leave it up to the history books and the things we learn in school, you get a whole, especially in the urban communities or the so-called black communities.
It's about raising awareness to basically generate dialogue, get people thinking about this issue or this subject matter, and talk about it openly without, worrying about what people are going to think of them, and really learn something or take something away from that conversation.
So I'm basically saying that I felt that it was an important time to say something because no one was saying anything.
Just get out here and see it, because you can read about it, but you got to be out here in the environment, man, and be out in the community and active anyway, just to be present, man. And
yes, I try to be less industry and more in the streets, just more involved.
Because, we are here as human beings, so we're observing, we're taking in things, and it shouldn't just be, we shouldn't just be a bystander to our life, we should be actively engaged.
Our music and our culture thrived in an underground sense, in a sense that it was a community driven, it was a lifestyle, it was a culture. And then I see, corporate controlled hip hop with the corporatocracy involvement, You know, hip hop is selling everything. And I felt like they was whoring out the genre per se for corporate interests.
That's why I think those little mom and pop art spots are important, because they're outside of the system. They don't care about your curriculum. They don't care about passing those tests. It's about you. Where's your talent? You know what I mean?
Oh man, I think I'm just talking shit as much as I can without really being over top of people's heads. I think when you're over top of their heads, it's easier to tune out. You know, the minute you go in your soapbox, people close their ears, close their eyes, shut their mouths.
And it's like that's what bothers me. Like, remember I said breathing is like, no, being heard is like breathing.
No one wants to see you on a soapbox talk about anything for too long, but adding that creative aspect to it, with it via spoken word, or if you're gonna spit something, if it's gonna be poetry, whatever, it adds a different twist to it, and it gives people again the ability to retain the information in a kind of a different light.
I really believe in, you know, word, sound, power, because it is all magic, and I feel that you can put people under a spell, you know, the ghost spell, the gospel, whatever you want to call it.
With the music, we can teach and we can tell people so much about what's really going on in the world or in their own communities.
It's how do you take the information and how do you get the people under the spell to believe in whatever message or movement that you're trying to convey.
You know, it's just about finding, you know, new ways to make yourself be heard, you know.
You get education from a lot of different places.
Exactly.
Like, it's not just from the classroom.
Yes.
Right.
So then it's like, well, what about that? Like, how is art playing a role in that education? And how do you take what we've, like, our own experiences with art and education and our development, like, how do we capitalize on that and put it back into the system?
You think about how we learned growing up, how you learned your ABCs, it was to a jingle. Commercials you watch on TV, they're always to a jingle. You learn nursery rhymes and so on and so forth. So
We have to find different ways to connect the situation, right?
I think the stories are connected in situations.
But knowledge comes from experience, right? Knowledge comes from going out of the way, especially creative knowledge and creative experiences. Because in theory, you can't teach art in the classroom. A true artist has to create for themselves, right? I don't know if you can learn in an institution of any kind how to create for yourself. Because there are parts of it that are subconscious, and there are parts of it that you're not in control of.
But you can create a guide to dealing with the subconscious parts, to recognizing the subconscious parts. You know what I mean?
I think that, you know, that's
That goes back to development.
yeah.
All of that is related to, like, the specific learning style, you know, which is not a neat box that everybody can fit into, but damn, if this stuff is, research shows that this is a way that we gravitate toward, you know, finding knowledge, you know, this is how we obtain tools and skills to finding knowledge, but we're not getting those opportunities in the classroom, then what is it that we're teaching?
What's the purpose of school is to train?
Well,
Train your dogs, right? What is art? Art is expression, right?
the opposite.
Do you like your dog to bark?
whereas if you had like if the curriculum were more of a more creative curriculum, perhaps our kids would excel. It's the whole thing. It's because of the curriculum that we have in our schools, man. People don't have a real sense of anything, a real sense of pride, and they definitely don't value the education. I mean, you can feel when somebody's really trying to teach you something.
Do you think
because
that comes from not having a sense of self?
That's exactly it. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly it. What it boils down to on so many levels is a lack of knowledge of self at the end of the day.
I feel like the youth want to find information in places that they weren't told to go.
There's only so much a school can do. At some point, the parent's going to have to be like, okay, well, my child isn't getting enough, so I need to type them up for stuff myself.
It's just like, okay, then the obvious should be true.
We're
The
feeding
truth
them
should be
shit.
obvious. Exactly. Man, what the hell? The issue is that, why haven't we figured this shit out, too?
like a Ponzi scheme. Y'all are obsolete and y'all cannot compete, cause the knowledge beaming. I'm something like a beacon, I'm something like a deacon. Always something I'm preaching. You ain't fucking with me, then either love it or leave it. If you love it, repeat it. I am sunny, I'm gleaming. I'm the son of a queen and I'm constructing my kingdom. The lump sum of what I say got substance and meaning. These other brothers dumb, they brains got nothing between her. Two things you can hear frequencies with, and I got the key to unlocking the secrets. Regardless of belief systems, what God you believe in, or the prophet you follow, be it Muhammad or Jesus. IQ was optimal genius, I-double-Z in the meaning. Is he who wrestled with the Most High defeated him? And he was given the 12 tribes, 3 religions, was seated in the region Eden had existed, meaning I'm a deity with this shit, reading he my scriptures, to the beat I'm beaming, did he flip this? Complete 360 degrees, cyclical, so the cipher just continues on, I'm a deity with this shit, reading he my scriptures, to the beat I'm beaming, did he flip this? Complete 360 degrees, cyclical, so the cipher just continues on, original. I'm a thought being from out of God's mind. From a thought he said be then, I proceeded to breathe in, and then he took from me a rib which he needed for even. We proceeded naming the creatures in the kingdom, meaning I'm the first of my kind. I am first, you in line. I am searching with lines. Shit, I ain't perfect, but I'm certainly sure that I am not from earth. My birth was divine, and I got purpose with rhymes. Your shit is purposeless. I'm nerdy and herky-jerky, wordy with the verbiage. I'm murderous turpentine, surgically perfect lines. Every word that I write is connected like cursive lines. Minimal cursing, why? My mental was purified. I was meant to deter the 85. Help them search and then find. Knowledge is self-determination stirring inside. Termination of old habits further.